Once upon a time, there was an Italian company with a lot of small cars. When they came to North America, they brought a small car. On this edition of Test Drive, we take a look at its much bigger brother. This is the Fiat 500L.
The introduction of the 500L builds on the niche Fiat started when it launched the original 500. Back then, it was more like an accessory or a fashion statement than functional, unless it was driven exclusively about town. The 500L is a large vehicle with some very real space and cargo capacity. Aside from the extra two doors, it's the 312mm stretch in the wheelbase that makes the biggest difference.
This Fiat 500L has got a lot of space. 654 litres seats up, and when you fold them flat, that goes up to 1690. There are, however, a few issues. First of all, if you tumble the seats up, there's a huge drop-off. If you just fold the seat back forward, you then have to put this in the upright position to get a level floor. But would you put anything heavy on that? I don't think so.
All 500Ls are powered by a turbocharged 1.4-litre four-cylinder engine that pushes 160 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque at a respectably low 2500 RPM. The power is relayed to the front wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox or an optional 6-speed twin clutch. Either combination delivers ample pep when booting about town, but the performance does tend to drop off when the seating and/or cargo capacities are pushed to the max. When loaded, it takes a strong stab at the gas to get things moving and a degree of patience as speed builds. The 10.9-second run to 100 kilometers an hour pretty much says it all. However, where things change is in the mid-range. Here there's plenty of torque and surprisingly comfortable highway cruising.
The cabin of this 500L is very nicely finished. Two-tone materials, it all comes together very nicely. It is a bit odd though, because it feels like you're driving a goldfish bowl with all of this glass, especially the panoramic roof. The rest of it, however, I did like, with one exception. Now, this elaborate infotainment system comes with a nav system, and trust me, it has everything in place you need to have a navigation system except the maps. To get them, you have to go to the dealer, pay $495 for the activation code, and away you go. You know, given the cost of aftermarket units, I've got one thing to say. Graeme, here I come.
Speed aside, the one thing that irked me during the test was the manner in which the twin-clutch transmission operated. For the most part, it was smooth and coordinated. However, it was not this way all the time. Occasionally, it would lurch between gears. It also upshifted annoyingly early for fuel economy reasons. As a result, when the gas pedal was hammered, the kickdown was less than smooth because it nearly always needed to drop more than one gear.
You know, I could probably live with the herky-jerky nature of the transmission, but I cannot live with the malodorous emanation that comes from the gearbox after you back the 500L up a slight grade. The reason, you're slipping the twin clutches, and when you slip a dry clutch, it smells. It happened on the first car we had, it's happening on this car. Enough, in fact, passers-by commented on the smell. You know, it really doesn't bode very well for the future.
The 500L is rewardingly nimble and agile when urged on through a corner. The suspension manages to soak up the rigours of a rough road nicely and without allowing too much body roll. The 500L Lounge and its upsized optional 225/45 R17 tyres also deliver the right sort of lateral grip, and so understeer is benign and the response to steering input sharp and rewardingly crisp. It reminded me of its smaller sibling in that it has an impish personality even though it's a larger car.
You know, this Fiat 500L is a generally well-conceived car. Lots of amenities, lots of space, decent cargo capacity in spite of my criticisms. It also handles nicely and it's got decent power. I could not, however, overlook the twin-clutch transmission. The moral of the story, stick with the manual gearbox. That way, if the clutch goes west, you've only got yourself to blame.